My name is Sienna Vale. And for 3 years, I lived in a marriage where I thought love meant patience, sacrifice, and silence. But the truth shattered the day my husband told me his whole family was going on vacation again, and I wasn't invited. That was the moment I realized I was never part of their family, just the housekeeper they didn't pay. What they didn't know was that the home they planned to steal from me was mine, and I had the proof. This is how I took everything back. Where are you watching from? Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories. I was sliding the last tray of rosemary lamb onto our dining table when my phone buzzed with Caleb's name. At this hour, he was supposed to be working late in Seattle. I wiped my hands, forced a smile he couldn't see, and answered. "Sienna, we need to talk," he said, the way people announce a weather report. "Next Wednesday, the whole family's flying to Hawaii for a week. Flights and villa are booked." It was the third year in a row. "When you say the whole family," I asked, "you mean your parents, your brother Noah and his girlfriend, Aunt Lila, and the cousin?" "Yeah," he replied, relieved I'd done the counting for him. "But the villa's only 3 bedrooms, so if it's crowded, don't come." I looked at the spread I'd made, 2 mains and a steaming soup, all his favorites, and felt my hope curdle. "I understand. Have a wonderful trip," I said, voice hollowing out. "You always understand." Caleb exhaled, grateful. "Oh, while I'm gone, water the garden and the succulents. And Mom wants some Hawaii-themed gift boxes. Pick nice ones and have them ready." I hung up. The screen went black, and the light inside me followed. 3 years married. 3 years of their family trip without me. The first time, they said I'd just miscarried and travel would be too hard. The second, I was supposedly too busy to take off work. This year, he didn't bother inventing a lie. I cleared the table like a machine, scraping perfect food into the trash. A plate slid from my damp fingers and shattered. For a moment, I just stared at the shards, shining and sharp, and saw my reflection in fragments. My phone chimed again, the Whitman family group chat. A message from my mother-in-law. "Elaine, everyone, Hawaii again this year. Leave Wednesday. Don't forget sunscreen." Fireworks and smiley faces exploded beneath her words. I stared at everyone. I was a maid who never took a paycheck. I scrolled back to a photo from last summer in California. Caleb with his arm around Noah. Elaine beaming in the middle, Victor smirking beside her, the cousin and Noah's girlfriend Tessa making peace signs. 7 bright smiles. Palm trees, blue water. That week I burned with a fever. When I called, Caleb said, "Take a pill and sleep. I'm going diving. The waves are gentle." Then he'd hung up. I sank to the tile and gathered the shards. One laid my palm open, but the sting still felt smaller than the ache under my ribs. Another call lit the screen. Nova, my best friend. I swiped my eyes dry and tried to sound normal. "Sienna, you wouldn't believe my client today." She stopped squinting. "Your eyes. What happened?" "Onion, I lied." "Don't insult me." Is Caleb pulling something again? Under her gaze, my shell cracked. I told her everything, my voice thinning to thread. "I feel like a joke," I whispered. "No," Nova snapped. "They're the joke. They don't see you as family. You've known that. You've just refused to say it out loud." 3 years ago, Caleb had knelt with a ring and promised joy. Now it felt like smoke I couldn't grab. "Quick question," Nova said, voice sharpening. "Did you two sign a prenup?" I nodded. A month before our wedding, Caleb had called it a family tradition and pushed a property agreement across a table. I signed to prove I didn't want his money. "The house," she pressed. "Whose name?" "Mine," I said. "A wedding gift from my parents. Separate property on the deed." "Good. Keep that in mind. And when they go on their trip, come stay with me a few days." I thanked her and said I'd think about it. After we hung up, I stood at the window and looked over the backyard Caleb preened for every weekend guest. My parents paid the down payment for this place. I spent years of savings on renovations. His family contributed almost nothing, yet he'd pushed hard to put his name on the paperwork. Why? Because men need to save face, he'd said. Night slid over the neighborhood. I showered, climbed into a bed that stayed cold, and stared at the ceiling. For 6 months, late nights had become his alibi of choice. Did I still want this marriage? I had been the dutiful wife, the agreeable daughter-in-law, and all I'd earned was silence. A message from Caleb glowed. You up? I'm leaving next week. Lock the doors. Also, Mom wants local-style gift boxes. Buy a few nice ones tomorrow. I laughed until tears broke free. Enough, Sienna. Wake up. I texted Nova. I need legal advice. Tomorrow? Sun glazed the curtains the next morning. The space beside me was still untouched, 7th time this month. I chose a sharp suit on purpose. Caleb had once complained dresses made me look more wifely, and today I wanted the opposite. In the mirror, my face held the fatigue of years. 28, but the shadows under my eyes made me older. I hid the night behind foundation. The doorbell chimed. Through the peephole, Nova's pixie cut and fierce eyes. She bulldozed in with 2 coffees and a pastry bag. Knew you'd forget breakfast. Americano with a splash of milk, no sugar, and your almond-free croissant, the only one you can eat. The smell steadied me. The only other person who remembered I was allergic to peanuts was the cafe owner. Caleb once handed me a nut-heavy salad at a family barbecue and laughed, "Just try it." What legal advice? Nova asked, flipping open her laptop. If I want a divorce, I said carefully, how do I protect what's mine? Something fierce sparked in her gaze. Finally, her fingers flew. First, assets. The house is yours, right? It was, I said, my parents' gift, separate property. Months after the wedding, Caleb nagged to add his name, to save face at work. I gave in. I tasted the bitterness as I said it. Repairs. Me. 70 grand from savings. His family tossed in maybe 15. Receipts. All of them. We'll need his financials, Nova said. Real income, accounts, investments. I hesitated. He says he makes $100 a year. He gives me $1,000 a month for household costs. I pay the mortgage. He keeps the rest for investments, and in case his parents get sick. Nova's jaw set. Separate accounts. For 3 years of marriage? Sienna, they're bleeding you. To the city, I was Mrs. Vale with a pretty address and a nice car. In reality, I stressed over winter coats while Caleb proudly bought Elaine a $20,000 necklace. Can you get into his office? Nova asked. He locks it. I have an emergency key, I said. Then be careful. Bank statements, transfer records, anything connecting him to another woman. The word sat between us like a stone. I didn't answer. When Nova left, I stood at the door to Caleb's office with the key warming my palm. We'd promised privacy on our wedding day. Today, I promised myself survival. The lock turned with a discreet click, releasing a wave of cologne. The room was museum tidy, law books arranged by height, desk surface gleaming. Top drawer, pens and cables. Middle, family photos, Caleb and his parents, Caleb and Noah. Maybe 3 of us together. The bottom drawer was locked. A small safe crouched behind the bookshelf. Caleb had installed it last year. I tried our anniversary. Nothing. His birthday? No. Elaine's birthday? Click. Inside, documents stacked with military neatness. I lifted a copy of the deed and felt my stomach drop. It listed co-owners, Caleb Whitman and Sienna Vale, 50-50. I kept going. Bank statements showed balances not of 150,000, but nearly 1.5 million. A string of transfers, 3 to 15,000 each month, to a woman named Lana. At the bottom, a velvet box. Inside, a diamond necklace I'd never seen. Receipt dated my birthday last year, for a sum that made me dizzy. The gift I'd received that day had been grocery store roses. Beneath it, a glossy photo, Caleb and a young woman laughing in matching swimsuits beside a resort pool. On the back, with love, Lana, Maui, August 2023. The exact week he'd been on a business trip. My phone vibrated in my shaking hand. Caleb, babe, dinner's off. Company party. I photographed everything, emailed the files to Nova via the secure address she'd given me, and restored the safe exactly as I'd found it. He stumbled in at 10, bourbon and someone else's perfume wrapped around him. You're still up? He bent to kiss me. I turned away. You reek of fragrance, I said, voice level as glass. He chuckled, nervous. Clients wear strong cologne. Lana does, I replied. The color drained from his face. Sienna, let me expo. No need. I'm tired, and I have to buy your mother's souvenirs tomorrow, remember? I stood and walked to our room. In the quiet, I heard the hiss of his whisper into his phone. Nova's reply blinked on my screen. Got the evidence. Come tomorrow. We'll plan. Just follow my lead. I deleted the thread. Caleb slid into bed, feigning sleep. So, I said into the dark, which resort in Maui was it? Some corporate place. Not the Four Seasons again. No, he lied, voice cracking. Those villas with private pools must be pricey. He jerked upright. Were you following me? I didn't need to. I said, you forgot to lock your social accounts last November. I paused. By the way, that luxury necklace looked gorgeous in the photo. You went through my phone? Compared to cheating on your wife, checking your posts is nothing, don't you think? His contrition combusted into anger. You're cold, Sienna. Lana is softer. She appreciates me. There it was, the coward's logic. Fine, I said calmly, let's divorce. Be with Lana. I'll breathe again. He laughed like I'd told a joke. Dream on. Half this house is mine. How will you pay the mortgage with your tiny salary? There it was, the calculation he'd always counted on. Fear. I smiled, and he didn't like it. We'll see, I said, and turned off the light. Dawn found me packing essentials and documents. Outside, the morning smelled cleaner than it had in months. I called Nova. I'm done shrinking. I'm taking back what's mine. Good, she said. I'm at the office. The fight starts now. Nova's firm sat on the 28th floor, all glass and steel, the kind of place where truth looks sharp. She spread the printed statements between us. It's worse than I thought, she said. 2 years, $330,000 to Lana. That's marital asset dissipation. Also, 3 months ago, he borrowed $800,000 for renovations. You haven't renovated. He never mentioned a loan, I said, heat rising in my neck. A week later, all of it goes to Lana in 5 transfers. He probably bought her a house. She clicked into another file. And this, WhatsApp logs between Caleb and Noah from a source I trust. Not court admissible, but it tells us intent. She read, Did you tell your wife about the mortgage? Not yet. After the trip. If she gets difficult, Mom will handle her. She always listens to Mom. They were planning to mortgage my home to fund Noah's down payment. If a property's jointly owned, one signature can be enough to cause damage. If they moved first, I'd be cornered. What do I do? I asked. We strike first, Nova said. Your parents' down payment, your renovation receipts, his transfers, all of it paints a clear picture. We claim fault and ask the court to reallocate. A thought flashed. What if that revised deed is forged? Nova's eyes sharpened. Can you prove it? Not yet. I remember the original was percentage-based, 70% me, 30 him. The seal on his copy looked wrong. Nova leaned forward. If we prove forgery, not only is a mortgage void, but Caleb faces criminal charges. We mapped the steps. Verify the deed history at the county office, freeze obvious accounts, if possible, draft the petition, secure somewhere safe for me to stay. Before I left, Nova pressed keys into my hand. Use my spare apartment. Don't sleep at that house. If he feels cornered, he could do something stupid. I hugged her, throat tight. Caleb called as I stepped into the elevator. Where are you? Mom says those gift boxes aren't here yet. Even now, it was about his mother. They're ordered. Direct delivery this afternoon. I said evenly. He paused, thrown by my cooperation. Good. And about last night, you were drunk and rambled. I said, I turned in early. When are you coming back? I have work. I ended the call. At the county records office, I requested the property history. The clerk slid the screen toward me. There it was, the original recorded as tenancy in common. Sienna Vale 70%, Caleb Whitman 30%. The current record, changed later, now read 50-50. I photographed everything and sent it to Nova. Her reply came instantly. Got him. Now, we just need the altered original. At 4, I risked going back to the house, knowing Caleb had a meeting. The living room had been rifled through. The first time that space had ever looked human under his obsession with neatness. I took the stairs, heartbeat drumming, then heard drawers slamming upstairs. He was home early, sweating, swearing softly as he tore through files. He was hunting what I'd already seen. I went back down and slammed the front door on purpose. Honey, I'm home, I called. Silence hit the hallway like a dropped plate. Oh, hey, he said finally, appearing at the top of the stairs with a paper-thin smile. I was just looking for some documents. What kind? I asked innocently. Loan application stuff. Have you seen the house papers? Not in the safe. I checked. He lied too quickly. Maybe you moved them? I tilted my head as if trying to remember. Right. Last month, the property office wanted to update ownership info, so I borrowed everything to make copies. My mom wanted to see them, so I left the folder with her. His composure slipped a millimeter. You gave them to your mother? My mother, I said lightly, who is also an owner by the way I see it. Why shouldn't she? He stared, a vein in his neck ticking, calculating what to say next. And I smiled, because for the first time in 3 years, he didn't know the script. Caleb stared at me, the muscle in his jaw twitching as if it were trying to break free from his skin. He was calculating, not panicking yet, but searching for an angle, a way to reestablish control. That was his default. Take control, hold control, never show weakness. I used to mistake that for strength. Now I knew it was fear wearing arrogance like armor. So he started carefully, stepping slowly down the stairs. When is your mom returning the documents? I shrugged. Don't know. She visits my aunt out of town pretty often. Why? His fingers curled slightly like he wanted to grab me, but knew better. Because he said slowly, those papers are important. You can't just hand them around. My mother is trustworthy. I replied evenly, I don't need to justify myself. I walked past him toward the kitchen. My steps were so calm that even I was surprised. Inside, though, I was a live wire, every nerve blazing. He followed. Sienna, he said, too gently, you've been stressed. It's been a tough few months. Maybe you misremembered where you put the documents. There it was, the gaslighting tone. The one designed to make me question my memory, my sanity, my footing. I turned and looked him straight in the eye. Maybe, I said lightly, or maybe not. I smiled. Something in his expression flickered. Uncertainty, confusion, a crack. I picked up my bag from the counter. I'm going to run a few errands. I said, tell your mother not to worry. Her gift boxes will arrive by 5. He blinked, thrown off again. I almost laughed at how easily a small shift in behavior could dismantle a manipulator. I walked out before he could find his footing again. As soon as I was outside, I exhaled so sharply it felt like I'd been holding my breath for a year. The air tasted like rain, and something new, resolve. That night, I stayed at Nova's apartment. It was small, minimalist, quiet, so different from the villa where even the silence felt watched. I kept my phone face down on the table, waiting. At 9:47 p.m., a message appeared. Caleb, are you not coming home tonight? I typed, then erased, then typed again. Not tonight. He replied almost instantly. We need to talk. We will. Just not tonight. No reply. But I imagined his fists clenching. The next morning, Nova and I met her private investigator contact, an older woman named Mira, whose presence felt like steel wrapped in wool. She listened without interrupting, her sharp eyes absorbing everything. You don't need to prove the entire affair, she said calmly. You already have that. What matters now is the forgery and the dissipation. She tapped the printed deed photo. Once we verify this signature and stamp our fake, he's done. And the mortgage plan? I asked. We filed the divorce petition before they returned from their family trip. Nova said, once filed, any major financial moves on shared assets require mutual consent. He won't legally be able to mortgage anything without your signature. My heart tremored with relief. But there's something else, Nova added, sliding a new document toward me. His employment contract. According to his HR filings, his actual compensation package is closer to $250,000 plus stock options. He's been underreporting income to you. Of course he had. Of course. The humiliation of all the small moments, me couponing, budgeting, quietly sacrificing, rose like bile. But beneath the humiliation, something stronger formed. Not hate, not sadness. Clarity. I wasn't the weak one in this marriage. He was. We spent the next several days gathering everything quietly, carefully. Email records, renovation receipts, screenshots of his posts with Lana from years back. A binder of evidence grew thicker by the day. We built a timeline, a structure, a foundation for my freedom. On Tuesday, 2 days before their trip, Caleb invited me to dinner. The text said, we should reconnect. Let's talk. Nova raised an eyebrow when I showed her. He knows something is changing. He's testing the ground. I know, I sighed, but I need to go. The restaurant was one of his favorites. White napkins, small table candles, waitstaff who recognized him. He had dressed carefully, pressed shirt, tailored pants. He looked exactly like the polished attorney everyone believed he was. Sit, he said, smiling as if nothing had shattered. I sat. He placed his hand over mine. I didn't flinch, but I didn't return the gesture either. Sienna, he began softly, I know things have been tense, and I want to fix that. I think we've both been stressed. Work, family, life. It's made us forget how to be us. But we can find our way back. His voice lowered, rehearsed. I chose you. I want you. Beautiful lies. I tilted my head. Then why did you vacation in Maui with someone else? He blinked, but recovered. It wasn't like that. I was confused. I was tired. I needed comfort. I made a mistake. But I'm here now, trying. I studied him. You didn't make a mistake, I said calmly. You made a choice. His jaw flexed. He leaned forward. We can fix this if you try. Stop being dramatic and listen. There it was. The real voice. The one that spoke through closed doors and slammed cabinets. The one that believed I existed to accommodate him. I felt a strange sense of peace settle over me. "I'm filing for divorce," I said gently. He froze, like I'd thrown ice water into his chest. "No," he said, not loud, but sharp. "Yes," I answered, folding my hands in my lap. "It's already in process." His eyes darkened, not with grief, not with fear, but with offense. "Sienna," he said slowly, "do you have any idea what you're walking away from?" "Yes," I replied. "You." The waiter arrived with water, and for a moment the world existed only in the space of his silence. He set his glass down. "Half the house is mine." "Actually," I said just as softly, "no, it isn't." His breath hitched. He didn't know yet, not for certain, but he knew enough to feel the floor tilt under his feet. "What did you do?" he whispered, voice thin. I lifted my glass and smiled. "What you taught me," I said. "I prepared." The glass clinked softly against his untouched one. The sound of something ending, and something else beginning. The petition went out the next morning, electronically stamped by the clerk at 9:06 a.m., a small miracle of timing that felt like thunder. Nova filed a motion for temporary orders the same hour, freeze on any large transfers, an injunction against unilateral liens on the property, an accounting of marital assets, exclusive use of the residence for me pending hearing. By noon, the judge signed the restraining orders ex parte. I sat in Nova's office staring at the scanned signature, the tight knot in my chest loosening for the first time in years. "You have air," she said softly. "Breathe it." I did. Mira called an hour later. "The deed revision is dirty," she said, velvet over steel. The notary seal used that day wasn't issued until 2 months after the supposed signing, and the notary listed on the document never worked at that address. We have sworn statements from the actual notary and from the county clerk showing the discrepancy. Your original tenancy in common with 70/30 split is on record. The 50/50 update is fraudulent. My mouth went dry. Criminal. "If the DA takes it," she said, "at minimum, the court will void it." Nova's message pinged at the same time. Exclusive occupancy granted. Change the locks. The words blurred as tears finally pushed through. Relief isn't loud. It arrives like a tide returning to a beach it once abandoned. The process server met me in the parking lot outside a home goods store, where I'd gone to buy heavy-duty trash bags and clean white sheets for Nova's apartment. I handed him a folded itinerary I'd taken off the kitchen counter days earlier. "They'll leave for the airport tomorrow at 10, I said. "They hate being late. They'll be in the driveway at 9:15. He nodded, unbothered by drama, as if serving the death of a marriage in a cul-de-sac was another Tuesday.